This is Rugby Merlin and welcome back to the channel. This is my preview of the second test between South Africa and Ireland. Now, going into this test series, it was quite clear that there'd been a fair bit of rivalry built up between these two teams over the last few years. That victory last week was the first one that Rassie Erasmus had against the Irish team. Now that's phenomenal considering he's got 2 World Cups under his belt. Those boys definitely had something to prove, and I think that played a part in his selection for the first test. He picked so many players who had played in that World Cup group stage against Ireland and lost, that I think he was giving them the opportunity to set the record straight, and they certainly did that in the first test. As for the Irish team, I think they're kind of on the same kind of trajectory in a certain way, because they would say from their point of view they definitely underperformed going out in the quarterfinals, but majority of the players who played in the World Cup were in the Ireland side, you know, barring obvious retirements, etc. But picking Peter O'Mahony, for example, and he was a clear shout out to the World Cup result last year. And I think both coaches and both teams really wanted to set the record straight and put to bed once and for all who is the best side. Now, obviously, South Africa have the stronger position, being world champions, but still there's this like sneaking or like knowing feeling, I think not for the South Africans, but in international kind of rugby public, that maybe Ireland just had an off day against New Zealand there, and they could put the record straight against South Africa and prove really once and for all that they're worthy kind of the number 1 spot that they held for so long. But South Africa were hell bent on denying them that, and they took the victory last week. And now what's happened in the week between that is Rassie has picked the exact same side that beat Ireland last week, and you know, he's no reason to do that other than to absolutely secure that like 2-0 win over Ireland, which nobody can deny, and anyone who would question the absolute total dominance of world rugby would have nothing to stand on, because they beat Ireland 2-0. Ireland, on the other hand, they got beat up and they got battered in that first test, and it was looking like they were going to be missing half their team, but it's come out that actually they've only had a couple of players go back home and miss out, and Casey was one of them. Kind of all the controversial decisions, I think that R.G. Snyman kind of tackled on Casey. The more I watched it, the more I disliked it. As much as I love Backies, both reminded me of the one where he like goes over the guy and like nuts him, which is a classic. But it did remind me of that a little bit, following through in the tackle. And Casey, who was having a great game at the time, really coming into his own. Tragically, he's been sent home with concussion issues. So hopefully that's not going to play a prominent part in his career from now on. Let's get into the actual teams and see how they match up against each other. So first of all, to the South Africans, as I said, no change, and just lets you know what a resilient, strong side physically they are. Kwaga played at 8. He had a good game, work rate wise, as he always does, but he made a few glaring errors, obviously, which people tend to remember more than like kind of the hard work that you do behind the scenes. And Kwaga was something of a victim of that. But he's going to be looking to have an improved performance. I think he has a part to play in the South African side going forward, so you want to like cement that his influence. Far from Pollard didn't really click at 9 and 10. Faf being a bit quiet, although I thought again Casey played very well to kind of nullify his threat. Pollard missed kicks, as did his opposite number, but he'll want to improve performance. The back three were great, great balance of youth and experience with Arensa, Colby, and Willie LaRue at 15. You know, LaRue's kicking was great as usual, and up against kind of a makeshift back three, not makeshift, but you know, inexperienced, let's say, back three against Ireland. So I expect them to do well again and maybe provide South Africa with a couple more tries, because they, you know, just the goose that lays a golden egg at the moment. Those guys just all over it. So I thought Steenkamp, when he came on, was very good, and he was part of that scrum that annihilated Ireland at the last gasp to get the penalty try. So yeah, very strong South African side again. So how about the Irish? What's happened in this week leading up to this test now, and how has Andy Farrell kind of compensated for those bumps and bruises that they sustained in the first test? The big news is that Omani, the captain of the squad, is put on the bench. He's dropped from the starting 15. I personally don't think Omani will be bothered at all. I think he realizes his role in the side. He had a run out last week, kind of proving a point, but now he's there kind of moral support and maybe to seal up the game if it is close at the end. I think he'll be absolutely relishing the opportunity to kind of completely focus on motivating the boys before the match, and not so much focused on starting the first 20 minutes and all of the physical things that go into that. So yeah, interesting decision. Tag Byrne, who had a very good match at second row, he's now in the back row, and I think a lot of people have been calling for this. I think it's a very good move, because it means that James Ryan gets in at the second row position, and I was calling for that personally, just because of the line-out issues Ireland had. The line-out didn't go terribly in the first test, but South Africa basically just gave them the front ball. A lot of it was uncontested, and they never, when you do that, you can't really play off front ball as much. Your options are very, very limited, and that was very smart play by the South Africans. So Kelleher, who's come in for Sheehan, who's torn up his knee, is a good player. Will he have the confidence to challenge the South Africa, which I think Ireland have to do. This game they have to challenge South Africa on every point, and I think one of them will be line out. If they give new front ball, you throw it to the middle or the back. I mean, it's going to have to be that kind of game for them to win, and they're going to have to really throw it caution to the wind. Does Kelleher have enough confidence to do that? He's a great player, but we'll see. But with James Ryan there, I think James Ryan's going to be fired up as well. He has a point to prove. He's been kind of relegated to the fringes of this Irish side. So yeah, that's going to be a real interesting battle in the lineup. In the front row, Porter, he's recovered from that hand injury that he went off for, and then he came back on in the first test. But he's going to shoot up that Irish front row, who did pretty well in the first half until the bomb squad came on. So we're going to have to see how the Irish deal with the bomb squad this time. They did pretty well for 10-15 minutes last game, but ultimately capitulated. So that's going to be very interesting. And in the centre, Aki has picked up a knock and he's out. But coming in for Ireland then is Ringrose, the golden boy, who's been out with injury for the majority of the season, but he's in the outside centre, and then you've got Henshaw inside centre. So Ringrose outside centre, Henshaw inside centre, and I think that's a combination people have been waiting to see for more of for a long time. And so no, as good a player as Aki is, and he had a fantastic World Cup, I think that is a very nicely balanced combination. And you have to remember the South African centres, Creel and DLN, played really well in the last test, so they kind of nullified Henshaw and Aki. So it's going to be so interesting to see how these little combinations match up against each other. And before we go into predictions, I will say Doris didn't get on well with the referee last match. I don't know if they had any bad blood between them or anything, but whatever Doris said, it rubbed the referee up the wrong way, and it certainly didn't serve Ireland's cause very well. So he's going to have to kind of learn how to deal with that in some way. Not exactly sure how to do it. Sam Warburton was always good at like kind of diffusing those situations, so maybe you should give him a call before the match, get some pointers. But the captaincy, Doris, a lot on his shoulders in this match. His performance was exceptional last week, so I hope he can maintain his performance levels and do the captain's duty as well. In terms of predictions now, South Africa are firm favourites. If you're a betting man, 100% you go for South Africa at home. They already won up. Ireland have their injury worries, but I don't know. I just have a sneaking feeling, and maybe it's like more my desire to see this rivalry continue into the future, rather than a logical brain speaking. But I don't know. I'm going for Ireland. I just think, and it's going to take the best performance of this era of Irish players kind of career. You're talking about Conor Murray in for Casey, who's been around forever. This could be his last hurrah. Omani is going to have a part to play off the bench. James Ryan, you know what I mean? Ringrose, all these guys have been around for a while. This is like a core of an Irish team has been in place for like at least 4 years and 3-4 years. So I think after this test, and the same goes for South Africa too, the coaches are going to start like bringing in new players, and it's kind of the end of it. I feel at the end of an era. So that's why I titled the video "The Final Hurdle," because this kind of the World Cup build-up, and the World Cup seems to have been building up to like this weekend for these two sides. And South Africa have the chance to like put it to bed once and for all. But Ireland have a chance to go out in glory, and I think they'll take it. I mean, you know, it'll be a spectacular game if they do. I know everyone's going to be saying that they're going to get thumped or they're going to lose by a significant margin. But, you know, I like the drama of the sport. That's why I follow it. And, you know, I just feel like just the context around the game, all of these dramatic stuff, the refereeing controversies, the injuries, South Africa picking the same side, the result in last year's World Cup. I don't know, I just feel there's something left to tell in this story between these two fantastic rugby nations. So, yeah, I'm going to go Ireland by a point. Game is on Saturday, and I cannot wait to watch it. So thank you very much for watching my review, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye-bye. Preview.